Women's Day here in South Africa, we celebrate by starting off our show with one of the most famous huntresses in all the kingdom, and in fact, some of my favorite. Now I'm speaking softly because they also happen to be very protective mothers. Aren't we lucky? This is just the best, and this is Safari Live.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And as I said, an absolutely wonderful afternoon here with our lionesses lying up in the shade because it is a particularly hot afternoon now. Why was I keeping my voice down? Why am I keeping my voice down? Well, it's not just our lovely lionesses lying up in the shade. If you look really closely, okay, even if you look really closely, you might not be able to see them. They're playing hard to get this afternoon, but our lovely Nkuhuma Pride has their 5 cubs with them, here, there, and everywhere. Actually, I say 5. I've only seen 3. I did hear a report that James had 5 this morning. It seems as though there's only 3 of them. And for now, our hungry Nkuhumas, after their failed buffalo hunt of yesterday evening that I heard a great deal about from the rest of our Safari Live crew, who were fortunate enough to witness them trying to hunt a buffalo not more than about 500 meters away from our camp. How absolutely incredible is that? A special way to start off one's evening. Now, my name is Jamie, and I have Zander on camera with me. Hayden, of course, is out once again with Liam, and we are bringing you a live safari from Juma, Arathusa, and Cheetah Plains Game Reserve in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And as I said, today is Women's Day, and I can't think of a more appropriate way to start off our Women's Day here in South Africa. Well, not start off, because, you know, it's the middle of our afternoon, but for a lot of our audience, starting off a new day. But to start off with the 3 Nkuhuma lionesses, 5 out of 3 is not bad, and their young cubs, who of course are the incredibly powerful female hunters. Now, if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask on our lionesses or anything further, or any comments that you'd like to make, please do so on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarth.tv. And our canny lionesses have chosen an interesting spot to go and have their afternoon siesta. There's trees and bushes and all kinds of things that makes getting a very good view of them relatively tricky. Of course, they don't pick their position with us in mind. They just flop down wherever is comfortable in the shade. And a lovely message from Thomas. Thank you very much, Thomas, saying happy birthday to myself and to, of course, our female strong final control room, where they do all of our directing, producing, and all other manner of very intrinsic roles that they play in our Safari Live team. And Thomas would also like to wish the lionesses a happy Women's Day. Amber Eyes, happy Women's Day. And of course, it's not just our lovely lionesses that are wonderful and most famous female characters of the African bush. Let us head over to another one that is equally, if not more so famous, but in this case has spots. And it's not Hayden.
Well, welcome everybody to this afternoon's beautiful safari sunset drive here on Juma. My name's Hayden, and we are back on our wonderful Queen of Juma, Karula the Leopard, and we just came down here to have a little look to see where she was. So if you've just joined us, welcome aboard. Obviously for our regular die-hard safarians, if I can say that properly, welcome aboard again. It's so great to have you with us this afternoon. And I've only been back for about 2 or 3 days, and it's been a real treat because it's been leopard-tastic for me. I didn't think I was going to get to see Karula in such a short time, but of course you just can't plan these things. Karula made a kill about 36 hours ago. I don't think we can see it from here, but we will when we pull back. VM might get a little bit there's a big branch right in the way, but just through there's a bit of a kill still hanging, or a carcass hanging up, I should say. She hoisted that up there yesterday afternoon. So the day before we came down, and the news was that she'd killed this impala, and then she went off to get her cubs, and then the cubs came through. We came down, we found her lying in the drainage line with her cubs and feeding on this impala that she'd killed, which was absolutely brilliant to watch as well. And we came back and forth during the day. They fed on that for as long as they needed, and then there was really great behaviour watching her not hauling it up a tree, but putting leaves over it, covering it with dirt, and trying to hide the scent for a bit in this drainage line. Very clever behaviour that we watched, so she could leave it down here for her youngsters to eat until it got a little bit lighter as well, because it was quite a big impala. And then after they'd consumed a fair amount of it, we watched her haul it up the tree yesterday. And then the cubs also had a little training day. We went to leopard school with Karula and her cubs yesterday, as both of them ascended one after the other and fed on that carcass up the tree. Then we left her at the appropriate time and gave her some respect and peace, and then came back this morning, and sure, lo and behold, there was a hyena asleep on the bank just over to the right of where she is now. And Karula was up the tree. So many of you may have seen this on this morning's drive, but I just wanted to update you and bring you up to speed on the backstory behind what's happened over the last 36 hours. And after that, we were sitting here, and we thought she was going to stay up there for some time. And then she stood up, and I thought, she's looking like she wanted to descend, but the hyena came down and sat right under the tree, hoping to get a small piece of whatever was hanging up there. And then the hyena, as it walked back up into this little bank, it had a bit of a limp on its right hind foot, and it was definitely favouring that foot, and it laid back down up there. Karula stood back up again and came down the tree. I've never seen this before, and we asked a few other people here this morning, people that have been here 15, 20 years, and she came down the tree. The hyena laid there, just looked over his shoulder like this, or her shoulder. Karula came down, no hissing, no snarling, and just laid down about 5 to 10 metres away, 20 to 30 feet. It was absolutely incredible. And there was no interaction between them other than keeping an eye on each other. So now Karula's gone down into a really cool spot down there in the drainage line, or that dry creek bed there. And the hyena's nowhere to be found, but I assure you the hyena will be holed up in the cool somewhere as well, ready to seize any opportunity. But I'm not sure about this hyena. This hyena seems to have a very bad limp, and who knows what the behaviour was. But I talked to James about it as well, and he said he has seen it before, but it was very interesting just to see normally she'd come down the tree and snarl and carry on towards the hyena. The hyena would normally run towards her. She'd either go back up the tree or run off. But they just tolerated each other and stayed in the same space and went to sleep, which was rather incredible. Now the cubs, I'm sure you all want to know where the cubs are. The cubs are directly behind us. They're in a very inaccessible spot for us to get to, which is great for them. And whilst you're looking at them, I'm just looking at Karula becoming very alert for some reason. Let's just swing back around here, Viam. Let's just swing back around here. She just suddenly sat up and pricked her ears up. She's looking up right now to see what is left of her efforts yesterday or the day before. No. We do have a few zebra just up above her, about probably 5 metres above her on a little plateau area there. But she just sat up very alert, and she had that look, and now she's relaxed a little bit again. I was just about to say, let's leave her be, because she was asleep, and the cubs are asleep as well, right over the other side, but they're in very safe distance from her. The cubs are 7 months now, as I've mentioned before, and many of you know that, so they're quite alert. But she's just sat up, and she is taking a little bit of notice of something going on down there. We might just sit with her for... What we might do, folks, is just stay with Karula because she has woken up and has become very alert. So we're just going to cross back over to Jamie because how wonderful is that? Jamie Patterson, what is she like? Amazing. She's got line in the first 10 minutes. Okay, let's cross over and see what she's up to.
We do indeed have our lions, and my sincerest apologies to those of you who are now very confused about the day that it is. It is not in fact my birthday, nor is it the ladies in final control, or indeed the Nkuhuma birthdays, as far as I know. I'm sorry, Thomas, you sent through a lovely message to say Happy Women's Day, and I mangled that spectacularly. Sometimes one's brain does this, and one's mouth does something else, and you end up with a combination of happy... I don't know where the birthday came from. It's not anybody's Well, it's not anybody's birthday in the Safari Life crew, as far as I know, but it is most definitely not my birthday, so my apologies. It is Women's Day, which is a public holiday in South Africa, which is to celebrate the protest of all women during the year of 1956, which of course was a very dark period in South Africa's history, and they were marching to the Houses of Parliament in order to protest the implication of what were to be some incredibly stringent pass laws based upon people's race. Of course, a very, very, very dark time in our period. It's now a day that's basically dedicated to celebrating women, to celebrate equality, and so on and so forth. It's not my birthday at all. Now, bear with me for 1 second. I just want to jump onto the Game Drive channel. Afternoon stations, I'm not sure if you copied me. I've got the Mafazi Ngala and Mapimpan's here on Galago Shortcut, just to the south of the Miskaya, and I know that Hayden is with that Ingwe on Elephant Skull. Negative. It's actually very difficult to get in here. It's just south of that Miskaya. You'd see me from the road, but it is difficult. Visuals 5.5 when you're in, but it's difficult to get in. Sorry everybody, just chatting on the Game Drive comms as to let everybody know that we have the lions here once again, and also to make sure that they don't come bumbling into us. We want to keep the impact that we have on the cubs down to an absolute minimum. And there are cubs here, I promise. We did see them when we first arrived. They have now gone fast asleep in the shade, directly hidden behind all of the fallen trees and grasses. The Nkuhuma's looking terribly comfortable on this winter's afternoon. Lovely warm day here in the African bush. I was going to tell you what day it was, but I can't remember. Oh, it's Tuesday. On this Tuesday afternoon. I mean, looking at them when Amber Eyes got up and moved into a better patch of shade, and I will say that these lionesses are hungry. I'm sure this has been commented on before, but I, of course, have not been on drive for a little while, so I haven't seen them for a while, but they are looking empty-bellied and like they could use a snack. Herbert and I, when we were out on bushwalk yesterday morning, we found a place where they had killed something, but it was, Herbert thinks it was an Impala, but shared between 5 lionesses and at least 5 cubs, if not 3 extra cubs, because of course the youngest Nkuhuma cubs set is going to be old enough soon to start coming to the kills. But that an Impala meal doesn't go very far if it's divided between so many mouths to feed, and that I think might be why they are so hungry looking. Sorry everybody, just hold on 1 second. Mike is trying to get hold of me. Go ahead, Mike. Good afternoon, Mike. Yes, you are welcome to. As I said, it's quite hard to get in here, but you're welcome to come and join us. While we're sitting here, listening to the sounds of the bush and watching our lions sleep away. Zander said he could see an elephant. Zander, can you still see an elephant? Because I can hear the elephants. I can't see them. Okay, so they're quite far away still. Awesome, thank you. So Zander's pointing out from his slightly elevated position. He can see the movement of the elephants feeding off the vegetation. Now if they do happen to come in this direction, that of course changes the way that our afternoon is going to go. However, what I am going to make sure of is that we are here this afternoon as it starts to get dark and starts to get a little bit cooler. Because I'm certain that these lions are going to be on the hunt. And James Dugan, absolutely the flies are harsh. Now that we've had a little bit more in the way of water and the temperatures are starting to heat up, the ears twitching away, trying to get rid of them. They are harsh today. And I know because just before we started our sunset safari, there was one that was thoroughly determined to go up my nose. I really don't know how these lions don't drive themselves crazy trying to flick those flies away. It's certainly not something that I find it easy to tolerate, but they seem to be relatively used to it. Well, since our lions are well and truly and thoroughly asleep for now, and that's always with the case of a live safari, the for now part is very, very important. Let's jump onto the back of Wendy and see what Karula and her amazing little cubs are up to.
Well, isn't that fantastic, Jamie, with those lions? It's brilliant to see. We've got two beautiful cats, females with their cubs at the moment. We are still with Karula. She laid her head down. She was interested in something, or did take a bit of interest in a noise that was just down the drainage line, but she's relaxed back down again now and has gone flat. So we've got flat cats on both sides, but it's great to know where they are, and particularly because Karula has this the rest of her carcass in this tree right next to us. So I think we're just going to wait for another vehicle. One of the other vehicles has just radioed in and like to join us, and I'll just probably give them this position just for the simple reason is that's the carcass there VM's got, the remnants of it. It's got a little bit of a feeds left on it, so she is looking after it, and they're hanging around in this area. But we might pull out and give another vehicle an opportunity to get her visual, because she's in a very tricky position. There's only a space for one vehicle where we are. Our vehicle has the ability to get in some of the tightest spots because it's so small and dinky and sort of can turn on a 20-cent piece, whereas a lot of the other safari vehicles are extended and to fit a lot of people on them. So we do have a little added advantage there, but I would like to give Jackson, I think, is coming, the opportunity to get in here and see this for his guests as well, because she is spectacular. She is just sitting there, lying there, chilling out, resting. Deborah, your question about do lions or leopards ever kill hyenas for food, I wouldn't necessarily say I've seen them kill them for food. I've definitely seen them kill them out of aggression or protection or the battle. That they are eternal enemies, particularly lions and hyenas, and on a separate level leopard and hyena. But we do have a situation where if they do kill them, I mean, there's been so many different stories, Deborah, about kill them and just leave them, some kill them and eat them, or some drag them around. There's all different types of stories, but for food I would say no. Hyena may kill a leopard and eat it, or a wild dog, or a lion cub or something like that, and that has happened before. But normally they would prefer to particularly evade that potential risk, the leopards, and escape. Lion, it will be a matter of a numbers game. It really is. You know, we've seen leopard, hugely hyena, a hugely powerful animal, up against some wild dog, but the hyena was outnumbered, so the hyena just took off and was completely on the back foot against these these wild dog. Now, if it would have been the other way round, it would have been pretty much the same. So, yeah, great question, Deborah, and thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. So she's just put her head up, just whilst the other vehicle just turns up. And I just had to take a couple of pictures of her, because I do love this cat. I do love this cat a lot. And when she looks at you like that, it's a bit hard to resist taking a photograph of her. So what I'm going to do is, she is flat, I'm going to just let Taxon come down into here, and I'm going to give him just letting me talk to him on the radio just for a second, please. Taxon, do you copy? Taxon, do you copy? Tex, I will pull out of this position here for you, mate, to get a better angle, because it really is the only spot you can see her properly. So just stand by and I'll come out and let you in. So folks, what we're going to do is, with good manners, we've had a lovely little sighting. She's flat, and I think she'll probably stay like that for some time. The cubs are over there. We might get a little picture of the cubbies if we're lucky, but I just want to get out of here gently. On a pretty steep angle here, but Wendy, who is like my old horse, always performs beautifully. Clear to go back there, VM? Tex, you probably have to come up and... So just let Texan in to that little spot. She's just down in that drainage line, Tex. But you have to get you have to reverse down, I think, mate. Here's me telling Tex how to drive. Yeah, sure. The man's been in the bush for probably 10 times longer than I have. He's an amazing guy. But I tell you what, he will worry about his shiny Land Cruiser. That beautiful beast. Now, I'm going to just try and just have a little look around this side here and see if we can see the cubs. But bear with me, I've just got to manoeuvre. Don't really want to drive over as very little vegetation as I possibly can here. The little ones, the little saplings here that I'm driving over will bounce back. But I also don't want us to get a puncture. It's tricky. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that really sharp one under there, VM. It's got puncture written all over it, that one over the end there. Let's try and go around this way. Just gently, gently. Whoa. Come on. Gently, gently. Thank you. So they are just down in there. They're asleep. They're very calm. They're very relaxed, folks. And just if anyone's watching for the first time and you think that, you know, we're invading their privacy, these animals have been with us for such a long time. Well, the cub's only 7 months, but Karula knows that we are so not a threat to her. We've seen her do everything from hunt to raise her babies, raise so many babies. She's completely relaxed. Can you see there, V? Is it just through? It's not very good, is it? Look, folks, I'll tell you what, I think the most important thing is that we know that they're there, we know that they're okay, and I don't really want to harass them or move into their zone where they actually get disturbed. So, and we're going to have to sort of bump into some bushes and make a little bit of a ruckus to get any closer. So let's just leave them and let them be. I think it's the wisest and most respectful thing to do. So after my 50-point turn getting out of here, we'll just let them be. And we know they're there, and we'll come back afterwards and just gently go over these sharp, oh, gently, very sharp sticks sticking out. Right, and we'll move on. Okay, I think that was a great sighting of Karula. We should know she's there. We know that the just got a lovely question from Deb in Ohio. Fantastic to talk to you, Deb, and thank you for the lovely welcome back. It is great to be back. It's only a short time, and what has brought me back here is the school sessions that we have got in the mornings at the moment, that I sort of put together this collaboration between Wild Earth and the zoo that I'm working at in Australia, Taronga Zoo, or the Taronga Conservation Society, that actually is a behaviour change organisation that manages 2 zoos, one in our Western Plains Zoo that is an absolutely magnificent place with a big open plain zoo, and our city zoo, which has been there for 100 years and is having its centenary year this year. So I was trying to get 100 schools together to be able to tune in the mornings to see safari live. Little dwarf mongoose ran across there then. Do you think we're going to see him? No, I think he's going to scoot. Oh, I think he's going to stay, or is he going to scoot? Yeah. Oh, there's another one there. Oh, there's a few here. Let's just stop and... Oh, this is good. This is a lovely little... Deb, I'm definitely going to come back to you right now. I just want to see if we can just watch these mongoose for a little second. I promise you, Deb, I'll come back to you very shortly. And see if we can just let these guys settle with us, because once we settle with dwarf mongoose, they end up actually just interacting between themselves, and they really do have a great little time. They're great fun to watch, and they're just going about foraging at the moment, enjoying themselves. It's a lovely sunny afternoon, so they're just foraging around these little bits of bark and tree and all different sort of habitats there, and foraging for anything they possibly can get their hands on. They're such a adaptive mongoose, sorry. They would really have a go at anything. They're active, busy little guys. They'll be looking for small reptiles, insects, anything they possibly can. And whilst they're doing that, they're also giving little contact calls with each other, which is incredibly important. I'm watching loads of them up there scurrying around, just looking through different areas. And sometimes you'll have hornbills trailing behind them, also benefiting from their little foraging activities. They might try and steal a little bit of food from them or something, and they're just so fantastic to watch. Really cool creatures. And once they do know that you're not a threat to them, they'll start to relax. So I'm just looking for some hornbills. There normally is. There's a couple over here, but there's a couple of little busy guys. There's one just over here foraging, Viam. Can you see him just on the other side of those trees there? So small. Very difficult to see. But there's a lovely hornbill. There's a couple scurrying through there. I really love these mongoose. There's some lovely sort of symbiotic relationships here with hornbill and sometimes, you know, the studies have shown that it can be the same hornbill following the same mongoose on a daily basis. But they will, a great little relationship there. More eyes in the sky, more eyes looking for predators, and both benefiting from each other's little diggings. Let's just see if we can find another mongoose a bit closer to us. They're a little bit far away at the moment. They're scurrying along up the back there. No, it's just a little bit too far for VM to show you. We can see them, but a little bit far away. Sometimes it's a bit like showing the bird in the tree. The bird in the tree that looks beautiful, we know what it is, but through the lens it can just look like a backlit black dot. So we'll move on. So Deb, back to your question. I do apologise. I had a little segue, a mongoose segue in the middle there. And so I got offered a position back there, Deb. I went for the job. It was just too good to refuse. It's a wonderful position. It's the zoo that I started at nearly 25 years ago as a zookeeper on African Mammal Division there. And I left there in about 1998. And I went to Africa and carried on, and then ended up in the United Kingdom after I chased a wonderful woman who is now my wife, which is great. And it all worked out beautifully. And then just this job just came up, and wasn't thinking about going back to Australia, but it just is too good to miss this opportunity. So the position is I manage all the people and wildlife and guest experience at the zoo. So anyone that walks into the zoo, it's my team's job, and I've got a wonderful team there to give people an unforgettable experience and so it's a beginning, middle and end sort of story. So it's a message that we need to get to them to take home with them on behaviour change, how they can change their behaviours or their thought patterns about the planet, and really great position. So it's given me a great opportunity to make change and help people understand more about the planet. But also it's a great opportunity for me to get Safari Live into Australia and Safari Live into more people around the world, because I'm a huge champion of Safari Live, and there's no stopping me when it comes to that. So I won't bang on any more about that, but I'll probably write a little bit about that when I finish here next week and give you a bit more information if you want to follow up on anything that I do there. So we're going to cross over to Jamie again now, because she's with lions. That's a lot more interesting than listen to me banging on while we drive on and try and find some. I'd really like some elephants. So let's see what we can do. We'll see you just now.
Oh no! Sorry, I'm laughing. We do have our lions with us, but we also had some Retz's helmet shrike, and I was about to tell you how Safari Live is full of excitement and how excited I was to be able to show those birds to you. But they're gone now. That's okay. They'll be back again one day. I'm going to try and wipe away the tears that are falling from my eyes and struggle on. I just got very excited because we always show you the white-crested helmet shrikes, and it's not often we get to show you the Retz's helmet shrikes. And they're just fluttering, they're just being awkward, and poor Zander was doing a marvellous job of putting them on camera, right up until the point that Hayden sent you across to us. Not that our lions aren't lovely and terribly exciting, but at the moment they're very sleepy, and those birds were very active. I have to tell you, though, at some point I think perhaps the elephants might decide to come and join us. I keep hearing branches breaking and cracking away. I can't help but wonder when that might mean that we have visitors. Oh, while you've been with Hayden, I've been contemplating my options here in terms of where I can move. I have to tell you, though, there aren't many. There's no real way that I can improve your view. Ah, man, but time spent with these lions, even if they are partially hidden behind the trees, is still a wonderful way to spend some time. And the time that we have spent with them is going to be short-lived. There are other vehicles that would like to get into the sighting, and once they reach here, then we will move out and let them have a turn, and then we shall come back here as it starts to get dark. The difficulty is, of course, that with their cubs, we can't follow them in the dark. Our time with them is limited. And I'm sorry again. Debbie, I will get to your question in one moment. I just have to chat to Mike on the Game Drive comms. Never mind. I was dilly-dallied too long, and I've lost my chance. There's now another conversation happening. Sorry. So, Debbie, in Vancouver, you were wondering about how close the sticks are to the Nkuhumas and what perhaps would happen if they happen to meet each other. I don't know where the sticks are at the moment. They were on Hoffman's this morning, which is, they are probably about, I don't know, that's about 5 odd kilometers away. You can do the conversion to miles, because I have to be honest, my mile-kilometer conversion is truly appalling. And Debbie, I'll go a bit further on to... No, I've lost my chance again, never mind. What would happen if they met? Well, there'd be some conflict between the two of them. Sorry, Mike has gone to the wrong road, and he can't find them. He wonders, or he can't understand why he can't find me, but that's because he's on the wrong road, so I really have to get hold of him. I'm sorry. Just bear with me one moment. Oh dear. Again, I've lost my opportunity. Sorry, Debbie. My answer's been choppy because I haven't been able to think clearly. The answer to your question is, in terms of what would happen if they were to meet, the Nkuhumas and the sticks meet on the odd occasion. The last time that we knew of, the Nkuhumas chased the sticks away from around the eastern boundary of or close to the Kruger National Park, actually, the eastern boundary of the Sabi Sands. The sticks are outnumbered. The thing about lionesses is that they are territorial and they do chase each other away every now and again. However, they're usually quite good at keeping out of each other's way. And one of the reasons why we've been so spoilt, I feel, with the Nkuhumas is because they're still denning their cubs. They're keeping them right in the heart of their territory. Woohoo! Let me grab this opportunity quickly. Mike. Mike, you were trying to call me earlier. I'm on Gallagher shortcut south of Miskaya. Will do. You'll definitely see me from the road though. Right. Back to the sticks and the Nkuhumas. And the sticks and the Nkuhumas have got a little bit confusing because there's 8 sticks cubs and there's 8 Nkuhuma cubs. We haven't seen all 8 Nkuhuma cubs together. We have seen all 8 of the sticks cubs together. There was a report, and I think some of you may have picked it up on social media, that 2 of the sticks cubs were missing as of this morning. That at this point doesn't mean anything terrifying just yet. It could well be because it's the 2 youngest ones. It might just be that Mom actually really got tired of them tagging along and messing up the hunts and just went and put them somewhere safe. Basically stashed them away in a drainage line like we've been watching our Nkuhumas doing, to keep them out of the way, to keep them away from danger, and just because for her it is a much, much easier approach to do. So no panicking just yet, because of course the injured Nkuhuma cub, it belongs to this pride, not to the sticks pride. If it had been a missing Nkuhuma cub, I'd be a bit more concerned. If our poor little limping cub had been the one that was missing, I would have been far more concerned. But for now, no reason to panic. I'm sure that they are okay. I think she's just hidden them away to go hunting. But it remains to be seen. So the sticks and the Nkuhumas, neighbours, and both, of course, dominated by the Birmingham boys, who are most likely the fathers of this little set of cuddly cubs that you can't see at the moment. They're there, I promise you. They are hidden away, but they are there. Amber Eyes is definitely there, and both of the older sets of Nkuhuma cubs is there as well. But for now, our lionesses are just enjoying a little bit of sunbathing time, and for once, peace and quiet. The cubs aren't climbing all over them or exhausting them, although, that being said, I think the cubs have also had quite a tiring time. They've covered an enormous amount of ground over the last few days. From Buffelshoek all the way back towards Arathusa, then back here, Simbambili, then back here, hunting buffalo, then back towards Simbambili. Been a busy time for our ladies, and they will most definitely be looking to try. I actually wondered in my own mind, and I mean I've got no reason to really think this, but there's a part of me that wondered if they wouldn't try and search for that buffalo that they nearly caught last night. I mean, James was telling me, or all of the crew actually were telling me, that it would be absolutely fine if it were left alone to recover from its injuries. It would be okay, but it would be weakened by shock and by loss of blood. Now, I've never heard of lions in this area following behind prey or animals that they started an attempt at hunting. But it wouldn't surprise me. So that's Amber, or it was Amber Eyes. Am I confused now? I saw her when she got up. I think it is her. No apologies necessary, Paul, because I've just done a whole blurb on the sticks and the Nkuhumas, and I would not at all have blamed you if you'd got a bit confused as to which lions we're looking at as opposed to talking to. This is the Nkuhuma Pride. So it's the Nkuhuma Pride with their 5 little cubs. The other 3 are still a little bit too young. As far as I can see, but it is a difficult area, but as far as I can see, there's 4 lionesses here and at least 3 cubs. So the Nkuhumas, the Birmingham boys, at least one of them is with the sticks that are further to the south of Juma's boundary on a place called Hoffman's. Actually, let me just check that. Hold on one moment. Let me just check they were on Hoffman's or where else they might have been. I have the message somewhere. Of course, we all share the different updates. Oh, no, sorry, it was one of the Birmingham boys on Hoffman's. I'm not 100%. I think the sticks might have been on Cheetah. They're somewhere south of our boundary either way. And then one Birmingham boy that came up from Mala, for those of you who keep track of the lion's movements. One of them came up from Mala, limping a little bit, so they've been scrapping. But that means they're doing their jobs as the prospective fathers, or the actual fathers at this point, of several different little litters of cubs. It's their job to go and make sure that no male lion feels in any way that it can come barging into this area and attempting to take over the territory. And a lovely update from Big Dave, who said that perhaps we know this already, but that tomorrow is World Lion Day. And thank you, Big Dave. That is a wonderful update. We did, in fact, know that. However, I'm really hoping, as I'm sure you are as well, that perhaps our lion characters will show up for World Lion Day. But if they don't, then we can count this afternoon's sighting as in lieu of a World Lion Day lion sighting. Let's go and find out what Hayden is doing at the Djuma Dam and what's happening on the camera.
Well, it is a little quiet here, but it's still a lovely, lovely place just to sit and be. And I think that's one thing I really like to sort of share with people sometimes. Driving around all the time, you can have a tendency to just miss the moment now and again and not take in everything, all the soundscape, the landscape, and you also have the opportunity for animals to come to you. We've just got some Impala, a small herd of Impala making their way across the remnants of where Djuma Dam does flow into. It's very, very dry down there, but they may be making their way up here to this water. And if I do start to see them coming up this way, I'll definitely move on, because they might not be as comfortable with us being this close to the water's edge. They're pretty cool. They're very, very relaxed, but they can be a little bit skittish around waterholes. So elephants are a little bit different. They've obviously got more confidence as a buffalo. But there's a couple of buffalo way, way off. Liam's got in his frame right there for you. They're a long way off. They look like they've actually been down to drink already and they're moving away. So this is the only sort of permanent water point, one of the 2 water points quite close to each other. There's one just here, and there's one way over that way behind the lodge. And we do often hear animals coming and drinking at all different times of the day and night. The other night we heard a buffalo being severely harassed by lion, but the buffalo got away, and it is I think it's pretty much the pride that Jamie is with right now. So we are still waiting. They're hungry, as Jamie said, so anything could happen over the next 24 hours, which is very exciting always. So we just sort of thought we'd sit here for a second. We'll probably move on, but it is sometimes just a lovely place just to sit and observe. And I think, folks, if I can ever share anything with you about going into any wild area, try just to stop for 5 minutes and breathe and just look and listen. Just take it in, and not necessarily have to be entertained by, you know, all the big species, but just really take note of the small things as well. And even if there's not a lot around, silence is actually something quite very, very special as well. It really is. Just got a lovely question from Ben, who's 14, and great to have you with us, mate. A great question. Was it very difficult to drive this vehicle in the bush? Well, I think any off-road driving, you do have to have a certain sort of sense of what works and what doesn't work. Sand versus mud versus harder terrain, knowing your vehicle's capabilities, Ben. But also having respect for your vehicle, because these things are very precious to us, and we treat them like we put them in their stables at night, and we rug them up and we look after them, and every single time we drive them we check all the fluids and the tyres and everything. But they do put us into incredible positions. These are our tools of our job, and if you don't look after your tools, you definitely don't do a good job. But it was tricky. These Land Rovers just turn on such a small turning circle. They're absolutely amazing. It is the most incredible vehicle in the bush. So you're always learning from it. You don't push too hard, because, you know, things will happen. And you also have to have respect for the landscape. But you obviously just look after your vehicle, look after the landscape, and learn every day. I'm constantly learning, Ben, and I don't think anyone that says that they know everything about driving in the bush is telling the truth. I think you have a constant learning curve in life with everything, mate, and I learn something new every day. And by the way, folks, I have done something incredibly rude, and I do apologise for it. And my boldness in just forging ahead this afternoon, Karula, Leopards, the story and everything, and I forgot to tell you one of the most integral parts of this vehicle. Well, he's not a part of the vehicle, but he's on the vehicle with me, and that's the wonderful VM, who is right there, behind there, also commonly known as the wildebeest. And VM and I haven't had a drive together for about 7 or 8 months, so this is quite an exciting drive for me. And every time I drive with VM, it's the wildebeest luck. He has spotted things for me sitting up there. I used to call VM my eyes in the sky, because we have been driving along Buffelshoek Road, not too fast, but fast enough that I wanted to get to another location, and VM's gone, stop, and just saw out of the corner of his eye a tail flick up. I can't remember what pride it was, VM, can you? It was the Nkuhumas, was it? Wow, it was probably my first time to meet the Nkuhumas, and they were lying just off the edge of the road, but all flat, and really, really long grass, and he just saw a tail flick up, and we sat with those lines for the next 2 days on a buffalo kill. So if VM didn't see that, I wouldn't have had that experience. He is amazing. So, on that note, talking about someone amazing, I am going to cross over to Jamie Patterson and see what she's up to while we go to our next location and try and find some more critters. We'll see you just now.
What a lovely introduction from Hayden, and it is so wonderful to have him back on the team once again. Now, our little lion cub, right up until kind of like our Retz's helmet shrikes that we saw earlier, right up until the point that Hayden sent you across onto the back of Rusty, was looking straight at us. It's now decided to play hard to get behind the thorns. She's terribly inconvenient, little lion cub, but giving us a beautiful... Oh, hello. There you are. Hello, gorgeous. Pale, almost olive green eyes. And I don't really know why I've never noticed this before. Oh, giving us a glimpse of those fearsome teeth. Aren't you terrifying, terrifying predator? I don't know why I've never noticed before just how disproportionate lion cub ears are compared to the rest of them, but they're huge. They look absolutely enormous compared to their faces. Oh, don't you start scratching. Sorry, that's a reference that only those of you who've been watching the Styx Cubs will understand. The Styx Cubs have got some kind of terrible skin infection that's making them very, very uncomfortable, whether it's a fungus or it is mange, something that the Nkuhuma Cubs have completely escaped. And I'm hoping that they don't. There's a lot of theories bouncing around as to what it is. And of course we've got one of the Birmingham boys, so one of the males that these cubs often associate with has a skin disease. And we're hoping that the Nkuhuma Cubs don't pick it up from one of them as well. Hence why I told the cub not to scratch, although of course lions have their own share of parasite, fleas and ticks and all kinds of things that climb into that thick, beautiful fur and manage to lodge themselves in there. Little lion cub, you're playing hidden behind the thicket. And George H., the answer to George H is never say never. So George H's question is that I know, George says he knows that I've mentioned what would happen if the Nkuhumas and the Styx would meet, but is there no possibility of them merging into one? And George, the answer is next to nothing. The reason oh, hello number 2. Didn't even know you were there. Little lion heads popping up all over the show. George H, I don't want to say never, because strange things happen out here in the bush. The animals don't read the textbooks, and sometimes, like strange males being accepted into odd coalitions or prides. Just waving hello to everybody. So I don't want to say never, but the chances are pretty much next to nothing that will ever happen. So there might be a time, if you go back far enough, that the Styx and the Nkuhumas were in some way related to each other. New lion prides are often formed by either prides getting too large and splitting off, or during a pride takeover, when the males come in and the females with young cubs actually run away and then remain separated from the rest of the pride. You can see them just looking back at where Mike is coming into the sighting. So listening, it's amazing how they've become so used to the vehicles. Hey little one, there's another one. 3 of you there. So George, it's possible but highly unlikely, and most of the time when prides split, they remain split. The only time that they really come together and move apart is when you get those cases where you get lion prides of up to 40 members, and then they'll often merge and come together and then separate because they can't all feed off the same meal. One buffalo doesn't go very far amongst 30 different or 40 different lions. The Styx won't merge with the female. One of the things that makes female prides such a strong unit, or lion prides, because that of course was tautology, lion prides, such strong units, is the level of connection that the lionesses have with each other. So whilst a male coalition can be made up of unrelated lions, male lions, a female pride, their bonds are built upon the genetic connection that they have with each other, this connection, this bond that they form even as tiny little cubs with their mothers and their aunts. And Abu Sheikh, you wanted to know which is the biggest pride of this area, and let's move away from our little cubs for now and just have a look at our adult lionesses while we chat about this. Abu Sheikh, the answer to that, the biggest pride in this area is the Mangeni pride, and they have somewhere in the region of 14 lions. Those are the ones that we could see, and we've only seen a few of them at a time. And most of them are sub-adults. The Mangens are also known as the Tsalala breakaways. That at least is in the northern Sabi sands that we might see on our live safaris. There are larger prides. There's a pride of lions, which of course it counts as this area because they are, the space from us to where they are is unfenced. The mountain pride, they've got different names, but they're up towards Singita Limbombo on the eastern side of the Kruger National Park. They have up to 40 lions. I just want to chat to Mike in a second, just bear with me. Mike. Mike. Here, this side. Mike. I'll move you guys in a moment so you can come take the spot. So as I mentioned earlier, this area is really, really tricky. So for all of us, we have to basically shift around and give up the best viewing that we have. And I think that might be our time to do that. Our lionesses are sleeping for now. I promise we will try and come back as soon as Taxon and Aubrey and Ephraim have come into the sighting. Then we will make our way back in once again. We're going to leave our lionesses for now, but we will return to them. Fingers crossed we will return to them before the end of the afternoon. In the meantime, it sounds like HT has found one of his favorite animals.
So let me take you back about 30 to 50 million years. And there was these creatures that were sort of deer-like, but they had longer necks. And then go fast forward about 50 million years from where we were, and 7 to 8, nearly 10 I think, generations or fossil genera, and we've got this. How cool is that? How cool is that? An absolutely perfect specimen, absolutely amazing beauty in that male southern giraffe. So there used to be a creature that roamed the earth, which is the forefather of this creature right here, called the Helidotherium, and it was a deer-like creature. It didn't have as long a neck, and as time went on, that neck evolved and got longer and longer, and it allows the giraffe to exploit a pocket of vegetation there that only one other creature can exploit as well, and that's the elephant. So these guys are just perfectly designed to exploit that area of vegetation. But you know what? I've seen them all over Africa doing things from reaching with the longest stretch of their neck and their tongue that they possibly can to widening their legs as if they're drinking and eating small sedges off the ground when vegetation has been very scarce, with desert giraffe out in the west of Namibia. So this is the southern giraffe, and very distinct dark markings, and you know it does sort of correlate with age. The giraffes generally do get, particularly the males, get a little bit darker with age. Not always, but most of the time they do. But I don't know if VM can zoom in, yeah, right on the chest there. I'm just going to have a look through my binoculars, and if you can see, folks, it's very difficult. I can't quite see through the monitor, but right where VM is, there's about 4 or 6, I can see 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scratch marks right just where the shoulder meets the neck, and he has had a near-death experience with line by the looks of things. He's got scars to prove it right across his chest. This boy is one of the most beautiful male giraffes I've seen in a long time. He's still got incredible health, incredible vigour. He has been motionless there for I don't know how long, probably 5 minutes. All the time you've been with Jamie since we drove off from that water point, this giraffe has just been standing motionless. Now, that tells us something else. He may be looking at a predator, because he was looking like this when we arrived, and he has not taken his eyes off at this location over here. So we're not really sure what's going on, and we are going to sit here and just monitor this, but he has had the experience before. He knows what he's to do. He's gotten to this ripe old age, but look at the beautiful markings on this creature, will you? That is such an extraordinary individual. I'm just blown away with how beautiful those patterns are on the front of him there. So we're looking at a creature that has a supercharged heart. And you know, you've heard all the stats about the length of the neck and the height and everything, but I just want to talk about it. Every time we see giraffe, I like just to talk about it, something a bit different. That supercharged heart weighs up to about, I think they've been recorded at about 11 kilograms, and if I'm going to convert that quickly, and you know how great I am at this, into pounds, it's about 25. I have had people say to me before, why don't you just get an app? You've got apps for everything else, just get a conversion app, and I should do it, folks. I promise you I'll try and get along to do that. But it pumps blood around that body. It's about, and these are pretty, so not gruesome, but these are stats that I can't imagine that you'd be wanting to hold a giraffe's heart, but they get to about 60 centimetres or about 2 feet long, the heart itself, which is pretty incredible in its size. Now that pumps about 60 litres, or about 100 pints of blood around the body every minute. I mean, seriously, folks, that is one supercharged heart. It really does blow my mind that it can pump that sort of blood around the body in 1 minute, 100 pints of blood around the body in 1 minute. So these guys are living legends. They are superb creatures, and a lot of people think, oh look, they just stand there and do a bit of browsing and so on, but I have a lot of time for these guys, and you have just been spectacular, mate. You have waited there till I finished my little talk, and we will let you move on. Isn't he spectacular? Wow. Just love it. Oh, goodness me, that has made my day, guys. That has made my day. Seeing that giraffe. I've been wanting to see giraffe since I've been here. And if I can steer you in any direction of looking further about giraffe, the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, have a look online. I'm highly involved with that, and it's based in Namibia, and is the sort of, well, not the sort of, it is the leading body looking after giraffe all over Africa. We're just going to move up a little bit, give VM a bit better shot here. Kat in Tampa, hello Kat, lovely to have you with us, really great to have you on board. And your question is there a way to tell how old a giraffe is? Well, you can normally tell from their condition. Older males, and even sometimes the females, they will lose their condition a little bit. They'll get a bit bony around their hips and their shoulders. They will go through their teeth, not like an elephant, but they will wear their teeth down a little bit. But it's normally just age, and what happens is you'll get that sort of visual recognition from them that they are, he's off now, down into the drainage line, which is interesting. That's very interesting. He's gone right behind that jackal berry there. So sometimes you can tell just from their condition. The males, particularly those ossicones on their head there, which, you know, some people call horns, they're skin-covered, bony structures that when they're born, they're flattened to their skull and they stand up between 2 and 3 weeks of age. They don't actually connect or fuse to their skull properly until they're between 4 and 7 years of age. I've got a giraffe skull, well, we've got a giraffe skull back at DRC where we stay, and we have used it many a time in the tent, but I'll try and bring it on board and show you this week if we get a chance, maybe tomorrow afternoon's drive, and go through the skull a little bit with you. And that skull is a real interesting talking point, but they will lose the hair on the top of that as well, and that's another little indication. I've got a question from Caroline here. I'm just going to pause before I answer your question, Caroline, because we might lose a little bit of signal just here, so please bear with me. Okay, fantastic. Signal is perfect. Thank you, Control. Thank you, Bex. Bex, can you just repeat where Caroline was from, please? I missed that. Okay, Caroline is on YouTube, and hi there, thank you very, very much for watching. Great to have you on board. You want to know the size of a giraffe's brain, is it comparative to its body size? Well, I'd probably say not as if you were thinking like an elephant or something like that. Elephants have got an incredibly large brain, a lot of convolutions to their brain, which convolutions are those little sort of squiggly bits that you see in a brain, and the more convolutions, supposedly, I'm not a neurologist or a scientist that knows much about brains, that's for sure, but all I know is that the more convolutions there are supposed to be in there, is supposed to have a more developed brain or a more capable brain. So look, I've never seen a giraffe's brain, but what I do know is that they are an incredibly immense animal, and they do have a reasonably small size head for their body size, I think. Look, I'm going to be very fair to giraffes. They've exploited an incredible little niche and are very successful, but the numbers of giraffe are very, very I think a lot of people in the world think there's a lot more of them because we see them in all the pictures of Africa. They're one of the iconic species, giraffe walking across the sunset and all that sort of thing. There's just over 90,000 giraffe left on the continent, and some subspecies that are very, very highly threatened, and 2 have actually been classified as endangered, okay? So it's really worth going onto the Giraffe Conservation Foundation website, giraffeconservation.org, and you'll get all the information you need to know there, Caroline, and I highly recommend it. I champion that organisation because of the amazing work that we are doing to protect giraffes and give all giraffes in the wild a really, really safe place to live. So they're not that responsive when it comes to working with them in captivity. They're pretty happy with the feed and some water and doing their thing, you know. But I'm not really sure. I've never seen a giraffe's brain, but I think it's not the biggest for their body size, that's for sure. That's a diplomatic, nice way of saying it. Now, this is a brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant. Tula Ann, I think I've got the name right, have I, Control? Just share that with me again. Tula Ann, who is 4 years of age. How fantastic it is to have you on board, my friend. My goodness, and your favourite animal is the same favourite animal that I have, giraffe. Wow, we've already got something in common, buddy, so therefore you're already my friend. Great question. I tell you what, a lot of people think this too, you know. Do giraffe knock down trees with those big long necks? Well, I tell you what, I don't think they knock down the really big trees, but I have seen them going through trees, running when they've been trying to get away from something, and they can knock over small trees and bash through that brush because they're really, really big animals. If you think of your mum or dad's car or someone you know's car, a small size car, not a real big one, but a small size car, they weigh about 1.5 times one of them. A big, big male. So that's a really, really big animal to be white rushing the bush. They probably knock down small trees, but not the big ones. Not like elephants, Tula Ann. But what a great question, and how incredible to have you watching as well, my friend. Wow. You're amazing. Great, great favourite animal too, Tula Ann. Giraffes. How cool is that? And you're watching. This is just great. Got a question from Vanessa Page about, do giraffes travel alone? And the only reason I'm stopping here, folks, each time I answer, because just down in here is the notorious black spot where I normally lose everyone. So I'll answer your question, Vanessa Page, before I go. Do giraffes normally travel alone? Definitely not. They're not as tight as a herd of elephants, that's for sure. They live in loose herds. That's what we call transient. So sometimes a herd will come together with another one. The bulls sometimes live a very solo existence. They may come into a herd to mate with a female when she is in season or in mating season for her. But a lot of the times the males will be seen solitary, and they will trail where they are. But I'll tell you what, whilst I go through this, we're going to go over and see what Jamie's up to, and I'm sure she's still with those beautiful cats. We'll see you just now.
Unfortunately, we've had to leave the lions just because there was no way that Mike's guests were ever going to be able to get a view without us moving out of their way first. So we've left the lions for now, giving everybody else another opportunity to have a look at them. And fingers crossed, we will have some time before it gets too dark to go back and see them before the end of the sunset safari. As our regular viewers know, but perhaps our newer viewers don't, we don't view cubs after dark. That is the standard rule. We will when they're a bit older, but at the moment they're still young, fluffy and vulnerable, and they don't need the extra distraction of the spotlight in their lives as it starts to get dark. So we're trundling along on a warm winter's afternoon, because it is of course 74 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 25 centigrade, to see what's happening at the various water holes. And first on the list is Sydney's Dam. All is quiet here at Sydney's Dam, I think. Always pays to stop and check though. You never know who might be hiding in the shade, and cat spots are quite deceptive. Anybody here? I don't think so. Zander doing a marvellous check, because of course my binoculars are broken, which is devastating, and I will be getting a new pair when I go on leave. Or at least trying to get mine fixed. Nothing hiding in the shade. Just some road graders attempting to hide, or some diggers. And I think, is that mud or hippo in that dam? That's a hippo, right? A hippo, or is it some mud with some hippo? Hippo, mud. Mud. I can see the no, it's moving. It's a hippo. There is a hippo with 3 passengers. 3 terrapin passengers and 1 hippopotamus. It gets a bit more tricky when it's far away and you're looking across a dam, especially when the dam has started to dry out. 3 terrapins. And a very, very warm welcome to Pam VP. It is wonderful to have you on board, and I'm glad that you have discovered our live safaris. Now, Pam VP has asked us a question that is next to impossible to answer, which is, how many animals do we get on our reserve? Well, the reason I say it's next to impossible is because, of course, the description animals includes insects, mollusks. So we've got the crustaceans, the crabs that live in the dam, and reptiles and birds and all kinds of other things. But while we trundle along and look for some animals to show Pam, in answer to your question, let's start with the mammals. So we've got all of the big ones in terms of the African animals. We have we've counted up to well into the 20s in terms of different antelope species that you could see. Some are rarer than others. Some we will get very, very excited if we see on our live safaris. We've got leopards and lions, obviously, because that's how we started off. We've got elephants and buffalo and cheetah and spotted hyena. 1 brown hyena that was seen once on the live safaris. And there are a whole host of nocturnal creatures and some of the lesser known creatures. I was just telling Zander that we're right up close to where we saw the African wildcat the one day and actually spent most of the sunrise safari with it. Honey badgers, porcupines, different species of mongooses. I know you were with Hayden and the dwarf mongoose. We get white-tailed, banded, slender. I've said honey badger and porcupine civet, which is a very strange stripy creature. We have a whole textbook full of African mammals that we get to see out here. Scrub hare, jackals. This is the spot for jackals. We're going to keep looking out for jackals, which is basically our South African equivalent of a fox or a coyote. Wild dog. I can't believe I left that one off my initial list. The African wild dog, or the African painted wolf. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. Very exciting. Critically endangered. And something that we get very excited whenever we see them. But Pam, I couldn't begin to list all of the species. I know that some of our viewers not only keep a birding list, but also a list of all of the different species that we've seen. We've seen mambas, black mambas on our drive, spitting cobras, puff adders, worm slugs, all host of venomous and non-venomous snakes alike. Turtles, no turtles, sorry. Bad, Jamie. No turtles, only no tortoises, only terrapins no turtles, only terrapin. Now I'm mixing myself up. Start this whole sentence again, go into the answer to Wilbur Betty's question, which is that they thought that the reptiles sitting on top of the hippopotamus looked like turtles. They are part of the Chelonian family. We don't get turtles here, and it's something that's become linguistically indistinct in certain areas of the world. Basically, turtles have come to mean anything from actual turtles to terrapins and tortoises. So a turtle, under the official description, has got flippers and it lives in water. A terrapin has got half-webbed feet and is capable of living in water and on land. A tortoise is a purely land-based animal. All of these are creatures with shells, chelonians. A land-based animal that we see, but usually only after the rain or in summer when we see them all the time and we get very excited about seeing them. I love tortoises. I think they're awesome little creatures. So that's the distinction. So those that were sitting on the hippopotamus were 3 terrapins, excuse me, marsh hinge terrapins to be more precise, although it's difficult to see exactly, but that's the most common species that we get here. They're very, very smelly. I wouldn't advise picking them up. They're also, as opposed to our tortoises, which are purely plant matter eaters, the terrapins are ferocious little carnivores that will pick up freshwater mollusks and worms and bits of carcass, as we had with the dead buffalo in Red Dam. All manner of things. And that's not even, Pam, to go back to your question, that's not even talking about our bird species. So you could see well over 300 on our live drives. Some of our viewers have got lists that number close to 260 odd birds that we've managed to get on camera. Now driving along, I don't know where all our animals are hiding. I was hoping to show you at least some of them. But they are all hiding away for now. We started off on such a good note with our lions and our leopards. I know I heard elephants though, somewhere around here. And there's always our jackal pair. We're going to keep searching. This is our favorite spot for our jackal pair, and I feel as though we haven't seen them in this area recently, which would be such a pity, because I was getting quite excited that our side-striped jackal pair might decide to establish a territory here. They will be looking for a den site soon. Almost getting to the point where the jackals will be having their pups, or some jackals will be having their pups, which is something I have been dying to get on live safari, on the live safari experience since I started working for Safari Live. I would love to be able to share with you just how enormously cute a jackal pup truly is. I mentioned that I was going to go off in search of things coming across to drink, whilst at the same time staying close to those lions so that we can go back there later. But for now, Hayden has had a similar idea. He's made his way to Buffelshoek Dam, so let's see what's happening there.
Well, no turtles or tortoises or even terrapins for that matter up here at the moment. There may be some down in there, but we definitely can't see them from here. There would definitely be terrapins down around in there. It is very dry at the moment. There's the last remnants of very foul or rank water. There's not a lot of animals that would probably come down and drink that. They may, when times get really tough, just little pools on the edges that don't have the bacteria, or sorry, the algal bloom on it, but there's an algal bloom happening right across all that there. You will get elephant that'll come down here and maybe mud bath, but I doubt. The elephants are a bit fussy when it comes to water, so at times have to be absolutely desperate for them to drink something like that. So we just thought we'd come up. It's always good to see, because you never know what you will get here. You might get an animal that does want to just have a little sip or a little tiny drink that doesn't need an incredible amount of water to maybe do it, but I am also interested to see something a little bit smaller than that, which I did come past yesterday to see, and they weren't there. A beautiful little bird, and I'm not going to tell you too much about them until I can see if we can see them. But you know, I do love birds, and a lot of you I know love birds, and we love birds. It's really important that we do include birds as much as we can. Sometimes when I travel abroad, I forget, you know, I forget the names. You work in Australia for a while, you work in, oh, there's a lovely little duiker that just shot across the road there, doing exactly what its name describes it. Sorry, VM, that was really tricky to see. Duiker in, oh, there's just settled just there, VM. Can you, let me just move forward a bit. Just a little bit further forward, just behind that tree. It's just sat there. You can just see a little face looking at you right now. And it'll probably shoot off again. It's just having a little break itself. And sorry about that, my friend. Right, and that little duiker is living up to its name. When it shot across that road, it dives across as it runs, and if I turn this off, sometimes when you turn the vehicle off, they just run. We'll give it a try. No, you've stayed there for a second. Beautiful little antelope, pretty little antelope. Very carefully walking through there, but as soon as it gets a fright and it, oh, it's just browsing nicely. That's lovely to see. They don't often do this for us, that's for sure. They normally just take off. Beautiful little antelope. I love them. And I love them probably because you don't see them as much as you see lots of the other antelope. And the ones that you don't see, you always want to see more of. They're very, very pretty. They often get confused with steenbok at a glance. Okay, so we might just move on, but we're going to link back to Francolin. Frankly, that's really funny. Oh goodness. Frankly, she's going to laugh when she hears me call her that. We're going to connect, link, go back to Jamie even, Jamie Patterson, and she might be with Frankly somewhere around there. We'll see just now. Gosh.
No, Jamie. I'm sorry, there was some serious miscommunication happening and some very funny moments that happen here out here. So if you ever needed any proof that this is indeed live, then you only need to watch us for a couple of shows and you'll get the idea. Whenever something funny happens and we get to the giggles, I blame Hayden for this mood because he started off the afternoon by showing us a whole load of clips of various presenters losing control of themselves and getting the giggles, which of course set us off in a very merry mood. Right, our Francolin. We have here our Coqui Francolin, which I have to confess is one of my favorites. I think it's the orange head. It immediately identifies them and sets them apart from the other Francolin species. Part of the spurfowl family. These guys were so beautifully out in the open. They're now playing hard to get and making Zander work hard to get them on camera, but he is doing a fantastic job as they set about in their little family group, picking their way through the different, for the different grass seeds and whatever else they can find here. Definitely one of the most striking Francolins that you can see on a live safari. So, actually, for those of you who've been building up your birds lists since the start of this afternoon sunset safari, we've had Retz's helmet shrike, we've had Coqui Francolin, all going exceptionally well. And I'm positioned here just because we are just on the main road, which means that I can't, every time I try and go on to get a better view of our Coqui Francolin, they start to move off into a more difficult position. It's also a bird that is very, very easily identifiable by its call because it says its own name. Coqui, Coqui. It is spelt C-O-Q-U-I, by the way. Coqui Francolin. We'll have a look at a picture. Most of the ones that we're seeing, actually, strangely enough, we've almost seemed to have a little bachelor group here. There's a female at the back. The male has a bright orange head. The female, on the other hand, is not nearly so identifiable. Well, not nearly as easily identifiable. She's got stripy patches around the top of her head, rather than having that solid orange. So the one on the right is a male, the one on the left is a female, and both of them are playing really hard to get. Cecilia, welcome on our sunset safari. Cecilia would like to know, she wonders how much Frankies weigh. And they only weigh a couple of 100 grams, Cecilia, as far as I know. Let's go and find a better position so that we can see them a little better. The Frankies. It's an amazing, amazing description. I think we should call at least one of the Francolin that lives around our camp Frankie. Oh dear, they are playing hard to get. So Cecilia, only a couple of 100 grams that we're looking at, slightly heavier and stockier than the, let's say, something of what would be a similar size. A Burchell starling perhaps would be a similar length to a Coqui Francolin. The difference being, of course, that the Coqui Francolins are almost entirely ground-based. They can fly, but they are built slightly more compact than the rest of our passerine species. So these are basically what some people would know as game birds, although they're playing games with us at the moment, definitely remaining hidden from view. Still scuffling around. Definitely our position not dramatically improved. Well done, Zander. I'm sorry I made you stomp for the world's most difficult bird, playing games with us as they trot along. So that's the male with the orange head. The female has dark stripes running along the top of her crown and then from her eye. The Coqui Francolin, also known as the Coqui Frankie, which has a beautiful ring to it. And as our Coqui Francolin disappear from view, let's jump back on board with Hayden, who has got one of my new favourite bird species.
Well, from one beautiful bird to another, it's funny that Jamie was looking at a lovely, lovely bird, and we just happened to have come to find one ourselves as well. So great minds think alike. Have a look at this magnificent creature. Absolutely delicious little owl. Look at him, will you? Oh my goodness, that is such a beautiful creature. That is a southern white-faced owl. And it's a beautiful, beautiful little bird that's just sitting there waiting for night to fall, looking. You could drive past it very easily and not even see that it's in that tree. And I have to be completely honest with you, I got told that it was in this tree, so I'm not going to pretend that I discovered it myself and take the credit for it. One of the other guides announced it on radio earlier, and Jandre also drove past here yesterday with me and told me that there were a pair in here, or some juveniles in here. Now, they are juveniles. They're found right across the top of South Africa, in Namibia, Botswana. You'll get them in Zimbabwe as well, and into Mozambique. They're a perfect little. Look at him. He's just opened his eyes. Or this one's just opened his eyes. VM's just zooming in there now. Look at that. How cool is that? That is a beautiful bird. And they are juveniles because the adults have got a much darker plumage, and these are just sort of transitioning into that sort of dark plumage at the moment. And they're small for now. They're probably only about the size of a school ruler, I'd say. A little bit, maybe just a bit under that, maybe, to give you a bit of an idea. I'm probably a little bit in school mode from this morning still, but sometimes it's good to give you an indicator about the length of it. So probably about 10 inches, I'd say, if that. Gorgeous orange eyes when they become adults. They're a little bit more of a little bit more lighter in colour, yellow-orange when they're in this sort of juvenile stage, and they will go much brighter orange. Beautiful, beautiful bird. I do love these birds. They've got a fantastic face on them. I love how those sort of fringed black sort of rings around the discs, those facial discs there where their eyes sit. But my friend, we are going to go and leave you now and let you be. And we will drive up the road, because I do have a little app here somewhere that I can... Sorry to disturb you. A little app here that I can play you a call of theirs. I don't want to do it near them, because I don't want to give them any indicator that there might be another owl here and maybe disturb them. It's those sorts of things you have to really take into consideration when you're viewing wildlife. With all the technology that's around, and you know how much I love my gadgets and my technology, sometimes when you've got apps for birds and you do play the call, you can actually trigger a territorial sort of flight or disturbance where they might take off, or they might feel a little bit threatened, and if that led to a tragedy, that'd be awful. So we just move away from there. Just let me find this on my little app here. I've got my bird app here. Alright, there's a picture of him. There we go. That's what he looks like in full plumage. Okay, I'm trying to get the shadow away or on it so you can see it. Right, now let me just pull it down for a second, VM, so you don't go all blurry. And I'll just turn off for a second and just find the call, which is quite fantastic. Get my volume up. Sorry folks, I should have had this prepared earlier. Get my volume up and come on. Isn't that beautiful? That's a sound that you hear in the African night. I love that call. One more time. Oh, that's beautiful. So that's the little vocalization of the southern white-faced owl. So,